My name's Craig Sullivan, Creative Director at Ghost Games. We're here today to talk about Need for Speed Rivals coming out this November, and you're watching this on Connected Digital World.
Andrew from Connected Digital World here. The next in the Need for Speed series is out shortly and it's called Need for Speed Rivals. I got to sit down with Craig Sullivan from Ghost Games to talk about it. Also, there's some new gameplay footage in there. It's pretty bad driving, so no comments please, but take a look at how I spectacularly crashed the car on multiple occasions. Enjoy.
Suspects involved in a race along Driftwood Heights. I'm in pursuit.
10-4. Attempt to apprehend all suspects before race concludes.
1 Lincoln 6 in pursuit of suspect. Control, I'm in pursuit of an additional 1044.
Right, before we get into Need for Speed Rivals, this isn't your first Need for Speed game, is it?
No, it's my third one. So I was the creative director on Need for Speed Hot Pursuit and last year's Need for Speed Most Wanted. And this year's, even though I must have been crazy to sign up for another one so quickly, working with the guys at Ghost on Need for Speed Rivals. And the guys at Ghost have been working on the game for 2 years, so as soon as I finished Most Wanted, we wanted to go over and help with the guys, so I'm really glad how it's turned out, and we've had a lot of fun making it.
Excellent. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the new game?
Yeah, it's called Need for Speed Rivals for hopefully a pretty obvious reason. It's all about the rivalry between cop and racers, right? It's existed for a long time, particularly in Need for Speed. So you get to play a full career as a cop and a full career as a racer, and you can chop and change at any time. You can play 5 minutes as a cop, 5 minutes as a racer, or you can play all the way through as a cop, all the way through as a racer. It's up to you. But the rivalry is not just kind of confined to the cop and racer. It's also about the rivalry between you and your friends. So that can play out through Autolog. Autolog is a system we introduced in Hot Pursuit. It was back in Need for Speed Most Wanted, and it's back and it's better than ever in Need for Speed Rivals. Not only does it compare the collectibles that are in the world, it compares the events, but now for the very first time it compares your actual career progression through the speed lists and assignments that you play through. So you essentially have a chunk of gameplay that the game asks you to complete in order to move through the narrative, and we actually have Autolog running through that list, and actually it captures your fastest time and compares it to your friends in the world. So that's really cool. Again, that's a first for Autolog. And in addition to that, the thing we're actually most proud of, the thing that I think is most innovative and most fresh feeling about Need for Speed Rivals is something we call All Drive. All Drive is a completely new way of playing. It's a system that destroys the line between single player and multiplayer. When you boot up the game, you don't choose to play single player and stay there, and you don't choose to play multiplayer and stay there. You go into the world. We will populate the world with your friends or people you've played with before, or people from the general public, and you'll be all driving with them, playing through your cop or racer career in the same world at the same time. When you get close to each other, All Drive will kick in. It will say you're now all driving with Craig, or anything up to 5 of your friends, any mixture of 1 cop, 5 racers, or all cops or all racers. And when the game goes into that state, when you're close, then you start earning more points for everything you do. You can also play any of the events in the game together. So I can go and play a single player race, or I can be joined by 5 of my friends who are also playing as racers, and we can start that exact same race together, and we can now play a 6 player. And that's the same thing across the board for all the events. So it's a really cool new way of playing, and it's a decision and a choice and an experience that I don't think people have had before, and it's something that's really unique to this game, and something that I think a lot of people are going to have fun with.
Okay. So are you able to actually invite your friends into play, or do you have to just sort of run into them, as it were?
You can invite people into the game. Obviously the game has different settings, so you can go in and you can go into the All Drive settings, and you can say, I only want to allow friends into my game, I only want to invite people into my game, or I can just leave it open and the game will matchmake you with people of a similar rank out there. Or if you really want to, because I know a lot of people ask this question, and I don't know why, it's like, can I turn it off? Yes, you can turn it off so you can play on your own, but we think it's better to play with friends.
Certainly you're going to get more rivalry if you're playing with friends.
Exactly. I think you just get a lot more unexpected stuff as well, right? I mean, the AI in the game is really good. When you're playing, or solo we like to call it, when the racers and the cops in the game mimic how humans would perform in the game anyway, but there's something a bit nicer about me playing, and then say I'm playing as a racer and you're playing as a cop, and you start chasing me and I see that you crash, or I cause you to crash. it's way funnier because I know it's you, right, rather than the AI guys. You know, the AI guys are good and fun, but it's way more fun when you're playing with other people.
So, is there much difference between the narrative if you're playing as a racer or if you're playing as a car?
Yeah, it did. Complete polar opposites, right? So what we did with the narrative in the game is rather than be too cheesy with it and kind of force human actors into the game, which I'm not really a big fan of, we had it so that the narrative takes place almost going from inside the head of a cop or a racer. So they give you their insights into why they're doing things. There are news reports that play out that see the consequences of your actions and also set up what you're going to do next. But at the same time, we know this is it's a driving game. It's a video game where most of the time you're going to be driving, right? We know it's not Titanic or Dr. Zhivago or Avatar, right? So the narrative in the game has to be at such a level where it complements the driving experience and doesn't feel too kind of tagged on and too in depth. So it's there just to drive the progression through the game, and it's there to give you variety, which is ultimately a great thing. So yes, when you play through a cop career, when you play through a racer career, you're looking at the world from different viewpoints, and the things you're doing in the game are very different.
Excellent. So there are quite a significant number of cars in the game. Do you want to tell us how many there are, or is that not something you want to talk about?
There are. We always get asked this question, right? Everybody wants to go, give me the numbers. There are more cars in this game than there were in Most Wanted and in Hot Pursuit. And if you can tell me how many there were in those, then I'll tell you the exact numbers.
More than 5.
Yeah. Okay. So there are more than 5 more than 5 cars in. Yeah. So I mean, there's lots, right? Just the sheer fact that you can play as a racer and a cop. And that means that automatically we just have a load of cars. We have a lot of cars in the game because we have that choice, right? We want people to play for a long time, so we have to give you a lot of cop cars and we have to give you a lot of racer cars. And on the cop side as well, we have different themes of cars as well. So we have patrol versions of the cars, we have enforcer versions of the cars, and we have undercover cars as well. And so there's a lot of variety in there. I think the way that you can personalize your particular cars based on your playing style, I think is a bit more in depth than I think what we've done in the past. I think the ability to customize your pursuit tech, to personalize your car to make it look how you want to upgrade your car so you're taking what is quite a base performance car up to a high level through spending speed points on the engine upgrades, durability, strength, top speed, acceleration, all that kind of stuff means that there are many permutations to how we experience the game together and how you experience your favorite car in the game. Hopefully, when we ask people what their favorite car in the game is, we'll get many different answers back, because you can upgrade them such that they do a lot of different things.
There's quite a lot of music in the game. Do you want to talk a little bit about
that? Need for Speed to me has always been about very forward-looking, very kind of contemporary. So we're lucky enough to work with the people who work at EA Music Licensing, and we get to ultimately pick and choose what goes into the game. And there are a lot of really cool artists out there that really had music that we thought really suited the tone of the game. Obviously it has to be driving music, right? So emotionally and actually physically, in terms of there's music that I would listen to in my car when I'm driving in real life that I think suits driving kind of quite fast. Obviously well within the speed limit, but driving quite fast. And I think it's those kind of music tracks that we've chosen that suit the action in the game. That's about high-speed driving and action, and they're the tracks that we've chosen. There's lots of tracks in the game. There's more music tracks in this game than in either of the 2 Need for Speed games that I've worked on previously. So we have a broad range in there, and something that is kind of, it's quite eclectic, but it's also kind of interesting. And I think there's a lot of music in the game that I think people are really going to like, outside of the game anyway. So it's pretty cool.
There's also a companion app.
Yes, we have the ability to play a game we call Overwatch inside of the Need for Speed network. So when you start playing the game on your console or on your PC, you can also download something to your phone or to your tablet, which we call Need for Speed Network, which allows you to compare and compete against friends outside of the game. So you can go in and we can compare our stats, for example. I can see if you're playing right now, even if I'm away from the game, say I'm at home or I'm on the bus or I'm traveling somewhere, I can see live that you're playing in the game, and through essentially a mini game that we call Overwatch, I can actually help or hinder you while you're playing through the game. So I can see that you're driving around, I can see that you're in a chase or you're in a race, I can see what car you're driving, and I can use Overwatch to help or hinder you by, say, calling in roadblocks to slow you down, or calling police helicopters to slow you down. Or I can do the opposite of that, which is speed you up by giving you extra nitrous or repairing your car when it becomes damaged. Every time I do that and you're successful in what you do, I earn points that turn into fuel in Overwatch that guide me to, or that allow me to do more in the game, and essentially attach that progression back to the main game. So there's I think it's the Maserati in the main game when you play as a racer, that's only available to unlock if you play Overwatch. So you actually unlock it by not playing the game and by playing something else. So it's that two-way dialogue in the game that's really fun, and it's making the best use of most of these things. You know, everybody has a smartphone and a tablet these days, so we thought it'd be a really cool kind of addition to the overall software experience if we allow people to use that as well.
Unsurprisingly, you've got Xbox One and PlayStation 4 versions coming out pretty quickly. What are the differences between the current gen games and the next gen ones?
So the obvious ones are the graphics, right? So everybody's, many games have really good graphics at the moment. I think there's going to be a big step forward on what we call next gen machines, the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. The graphics are going to be a significant step on. That doesn't mean that the current gen versions look weak. It just means that the new power available to us on these new machines allow us to take a step forward. So, the best looking cars, the best looking environments to drive in a Need for Speed game, I think, ever. Then obviously the thing that I'm actually really interested and excited by on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One is the ability to share your video. So something like AllDrive is perfect for next-gen video sharing, because we purposely design unscripted moments into the game. We design systems that pan out in many, many different ways depending on where you are, who you're driving with, whether or not you're a cop or a racer. So lots of unexpected stuff happens, and it's perfect feature for you to go, okay, that was really cool, I've never seen that before, I may never see that again, I can just share with my friends. So that's really something that's good and that's exciting us about next gen machines. Also the fact that pretty much everybody's going to be connected, right? So connected is definitely the future. You don't have to be connected to play the game, but when you have that connected experience, then that's going to be just a lot more fun and a lot more immersive.
And what's next for you guys once this ships?
A holiday or a vacation. If you're watching in the States, I'm going on vacation after this, right? So I'm going to go somewhere nice and sunny and lay on a beach and have some fun.
Excellent. And one final question. At the EA press conference, you guys announced the Need for Speed movie. Mm-hmm. Are you guys involved heavily in that?
I wouldn't say heavily. I think with the movie stuff particularly, it's obviously they're making they're making a movie based on a game franchise that's been around for a very long time. So they look very closely at what we're doing, and we had some of our guys involved in kind of helping them look at cars and kind of bits and pieces. So we've had access to what they're making during the concept phase of their movie, and kind of we looked at scripts and we looked at different pieces and shots and stuff. So yes, we are involved. I wouldn't say heavily, but we want it to be kind of like Need for Speed the game is, big, fun, kind of exciting project. So, we'll have to wait and see when that comes out. I'm looking forward to going and seeing it. Hopefully I'll get to see it before it actually comes out in the cinemas, but we'll have to wait and see.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.